Hi, welcome everyone again to another Join Talk. My name is Melanie of Bronte, and I am a designer and maker based out of Oakland, California. I have a small business, and sorry, I always forget to do this, but there is a train, so I might have to stop every once in a while to make sure that you guys can hear me. You're so welcome, Kenny. I'm glad you guys could be a part of this. I make cork and wood products for the home, and that is my day job. And then I'm also a managing member of a collective called Join Design. And Join is a collective that does events, pop-ups, and trade shows around the US. And it's a really fun way to connect with other designers, as well as, we're trying to be better about sharing information about how to grow your business and things like that, which is obviously why we're doing Join Talks. That is a little bit about Join. And I want to introduce you guys to Tyler Koenig, and he is a copywriter, an amazing one at that. He lives in Oakland as well, and he is going to help us talk about how to make our captions more persuasive. So, Tyler, let me know. Talk about yourself.
Okay. Hello. Hi. That was a very nice intro. My name's Tyler. I'm a copywriter. Basically, that just means that I write marketing stuff. I guess I'll go into more about what copywriting actually is. But all of the marketing stuff that you see, websites, ads, landing pages, that type of stuff is my specialty. So I've been writing now for about 7 years. I've worked for an agency for a little bit, but then for the most part, I've been doing my own thing, actually kind of traveling around the world while I write for clients. So a lot of tech clients, a lot of entrepreneurs, and then small business owners like you guys. I love kind of working with interesting entrepreneurs and business owners, because I find that these kind of smaller shops, they have more interesting stories, and it's just more like feeling with that you can put into the copy. So I'm excited to kind of speak about how you guys can, not only make more money with your social media captions and make more money with your, with your posts, but also just ways to engage your audience a little bit more, so that they can feel and kind of create that, and you guys can create that connection with them that, inevitably leads to more engagement and longer relationships and all that stuff. So yeah, that's me. Hi.
Well, thank you for explaining that. And because to be honest, I think the only thing I knew really about copywriting is like Don Draper from Mad Men, because I know he was a
That's exactly what I do. I mean, that's literally all I do. I just smoke cigarettes and drink whiskey and just walk around in my suit. So.
Yeah, nice suit today then. This is your quarantine suit, right? Okay, so obviously so how we're going to start this talk is essentially we're going to go through a couple of questions asking Tyler about his expertise about copywriting, specifically how it can help our small businesses. And then from there, we're going to actually do a little workshop. So he has chosen a couple of different examples from some Instagrams, some Join follower Instagrams that I asked beforehand, so no worries. That way we can kind of see how we can even rewrite what we've already written, or maybe make that a little bit easier for us as well. Because I mean, from my perspective, or at least for me, I am the worst writer in the world. And I have been working with Tyler a little bit. He helps me out whenever I have an idea or a caption, and he'll get behind it, and he explains it in a very specific way that is helpful for me to think about more of the customer, which to be honest, I never do. So this will be a really great way for him to show it. And then, if you guys, like I mentioned earlier, have questions during the talk or whenever that actually happens, you can ask it in the chat because everyone of course is muted. Thank you for that. And we will be able to answer them as we go. And if it's really long, we'll be able to get it to hopefully at the end. All right, so let's start off. So you answered a little bit about copywriting, but do you have any, an explanation about copywriting for social media specifically? Or is that not?
Yeah. So I guess within social media, and I guess we can kind of speak within Instagram more specifically. So copywriting definitely pertains to your bio, everything that says in the bio, and then of course everything that your actual captions say. And I think Instagram is interesting these days because it is kind of like a storefront for a lot of people, obviously to showcase, but also to really sell and push people towards your website and your store. So there's an element, there's kind of a mix as far as how you speak to people, and obviously it depends on who you are, like what's your natural voice, because I think that is most important with anything that you write, is that you make sure it is authentically you, because that's kind of your business. And I think specifically with you guys watching, a lot of small business owners, there is such power in actually owning your own specific voice rather than trying to, speak like some other shop that you see, or speak like somebody else. So copywriting really, like I said before, it's just marketing stuff, any writing that you see related to marketing. So for Instagram and for the posts, it's going to be, a lot of obviously introducing your products, but really telling people why they should buy, and kind of what are the benefit, not the benefits because it's, you're selling a thing, but what is like kind of the deeper feelings and the reasons for them to support you and your shop and want to buy your stuff. So it's really, it's like a mix of motivation, encouragement, and pushing the sale, while also just being, present and showing the world who you are. So
yeah, and I love the fact that you talked about feelings, because I never even think about that. Like, it's true. Like when you're reading something, you feel a certain way towards whatever you're reading, if especially it's like a product that you really enjoy, you really love. Like, that is a feeling. So that's actually a really interesting and smart way of thinking about it.
yeah,
Okay.
and I think specifically with small business owners, where they might like the output, right? The thing you sell is a thing. Of
Right.
course, it's like a vase or whatever else. But the reasoning and kind of the push behind that is something bigger, right? It's not that you just want a new vase. It's because you want the feelings that a vase brings you, like whatever you want. Be comfortable in your home. You want something that shares your personality. You want something that tells the world about a little bit about who you are. So really catering to those kind of deeper feelings and deeper desires that separates you from everyone else that's selling similar products in your industry.
Yeah, that's actually, yeah, love that. That's a great way of thinking about it. Because it's true. I mean, at the end of the day, since most of us, especially if you're through Join, we obviously are small businesses, and what we do is what we love. And I like the idea that, that is something that people are purchasing as well. It's like us as business owners,
Yeah,
because they support us.
exactly.
All right. Okay. So I have a couple of questions. So just to kind of go straight into it, what is the best way of editing your own copy if you have no experience, like someone like myself, who's a terrible writer?
So that's the thing too, is that everyone thinks that they're a bad writer, but usually they're not. It's just like minor, tiny things that just usually need like tweaking. Like when I help you with your stuff, usually the content, the meat is always there. It's just about kind of presentation. So for me, I think the number one thing as you're writing your captions, and kind of a way to like check yourself or edit for yourself, is simply to just read your caption out loud. Because I think that's something that's hard to kind of imagine as you're writing it, because you're obviously not sitting there talking out loud as you write it. You're kind of just on your phone. But you have to understand that when the person is reading it in their head, it's the same as them reading it out loud. So even if it sounds okay through text, you really need to go back to it and then read it out loud, because then you can start to find the weird like pacing things, the awkward phrasing that you would never actually say in real life, but for whatever reason, that's how you type. Because I think that's part of it, is that you're like, I don't know how to write. So you're just writing some stuff, and then it comes out and it just sounds like a little awkward. And it's not even anything that you can't pick up, but it's just the fact that you have to read it out loud. Then you'll find little areas where it's like, oh, I didn't want that to sound like that. Or you might need some pacing or some spacing, things like that. So simply read it out loud. Yeah. And then you'll find some ways to tweak it.
Yeah, that's definitely a good tip, because I think most of us, I mean, myself included, like I was saying, marketing is something that we do because we have to, right? And it's not something that we're particularly, it's not our only focus, because we have so many other things in our businesses that we have to do every day. So that is a really easy way of making it kind of, move on. Once we write something, you can just read it out loud, and if it doesn't make sense, change it.
Yeah, and I think also, try to have, and this is kind of something more like that I teach copywriters on, like when they're writing, more landing page type stuff, but it still applies to this, I think, is whenever you have a post, think about what is the big idea of that post, right? Because the big idea isn't just, if you're selling a vase, the big idea isn't just the vase, it's all the stuff beyond that. Like, what is the message that you're really trying to put across? And then make sure that it is kind of tied to that, because obviously there are details and specifics that you have to mention about, the actual product, but, think about the big idea. And that big idea can be one that is consistent for your brand, or it can be just one that you just kind of get the inspiration behind this post or behind that product. So try and get that out there, because, that's just going to create a much stronger connection than if you're just saying, look, here's a thing, just,
Right.
so time to talk about more than just the thing.
Right. Yeah. And of course, making sure that it fits obviously the brand story as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, do you have any simple tips to keep in mind when writing copy specifically for products? Because I feel like, and someone brought this up to me, just like how a white t-shirt, if you're selling a white t-shirt or something like that, if you read that as like your title, white t-shirt, what makes it different from like how would you be able to make that sound a little more exciting? Because everyone will have, or everyone sells white t-shirts, but maybe like that terry cloth vintage tee is the better way of writing it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think a go-to strategy, honestly, for anything that you're writing, especially captions like this, is just to start with a question. So for instance, like if I'm selling a white t-shirt, my caption could start with, are you happy with the t-shirts, the raggedy white t-shirts that you have in your closet? Or something like that. But like the point being that it puts the reader, it like kind of brings the reader into, like it snaps them like out of zombie mode. Because, you gotta think about the context. Like inevitably they're seeing you on Instagram, so they're just kind of, scrolling. And so you want to snap them out of, snap them to attention, because that's probably the number one key, I think, for copywriting is, without attention, without that first grasp of attention, then nothing else matters. Like if you put all this work into this 3-paragraph thing, but it doesn't get them to stop, then that's literally an entire waste of your time because they're not reading it. So starting with the question is a really good way to snap them out of whatever, state they're in, and force them to like consider it within the context of their own life and their own experience, because that's really what copywriting is too, is empathy. This whole thing is empathy, being that you have to understand what this person is going through. So if I'm selling a white t-shirt, by starting it off with a question, it, like I said, it gets you thinking like, oh damn, like my white t-shirts are pretty raggedy. Like, oh yeah, that collar does always suck. Like, oh yeah, I do have stains under my. So it's like it makes you think what's going on, and then
Here's the nastiest white t-shirts if that's the case then.
If I'm selling to dudes, if I'm selling like white t-shirts to dudes, but so it gets them to consider the situation, and then once they consider their situation, then they're going to be listening to like what you have to say about it, and then you can kind of go into the meat of the post.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And I guess also, of course, like, you touched on it. It's just like you're trying to get these people's attention, right? And I think, something to think about as well. I mean, yes, we're writing about captions, but of course, especially if it's through Instagram or Facebook or something incredibly visual, like the image would be number one, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, if that image matches what's written at the bottom or what they're thinking about when they look at that image, and you can kind of like obviously give them more information, then I can see how that, you're already thinking ahead in that sense.
And it's just think about just how you use Instagram. Like you scroll and you see the image first, and then you're like, okay, and then you caption to see if it's worth you becoming like an active reader, or do you just keep scrolling? So obviously everyone here, you guys have the imagery on point. Like that's not an issue. So then it's just how can I, inevitably they're gonna to the image, they're like, oh cool. And they're gonna look at the caption. So the first thing, by using a question, it makes them an active reader. And then they really have no choice but to keep reading because you ask them a question and now they're in. And so
Right.
then you
They want to know the answer.
hold them on.
Yeah. True. Okay.
Word.
All right. So one thing that I honestly have a huge problem with is when I am writing, because like my Instagram is a mixture between like my personal, which is not joined specifically, but my Instagram is a mixture between lifestyle, a little about my life, and as the product. And I think that part of it always gets me thinking more about it being for like friends rather than being for a customer. And then so when I actually do post about a product that I want someone to buy, I feel really gross because I feel like I'm just so sales driven, you know? And it's like, buy this and buy that. But is there a better or more organic way of actually kind of getting people's attention and still getting them to essentially shop, right? Because that's what we're here for. We want people to buy.
So I think in general, creatives have this blockage of selling. Like we just feel weird about selling because we love creating, we love building this
Right.
brand, we love this organic aspect of it. But the reality is that people want to buy your stuff, and a pitch isn't off-putting, especially considering people are following you for a reason. And I think often we make it too difficult to actually buy from us or to like take action. So it's honestly, I think like the first step of that is like a mindset thing, where you're not selling. Okay, like so obviously you're selling, but you're not really selling a thing. You're not like grabbing somebody off the street like, hey, like you should totally buy this. It's awesome. You're giving them an opportunity to like enter this world that you've created.
So
And
yeah,
that's
like
really what it is.
people
Like
want something.
yeah, I mean, it's like you've created this whole vibe, you've created all this stuff, you've created this world, and so like by you making products available, like that's what it is. You're not selling, you're saying, hey, I have this stuff available. Then it's like I said, it's an opportunity to just give them give them again what we were talking about earlier, that deeper feeling that's behind the product. So that's number one. I think it's just like, don't feel bad about selling, because I guarantee, like everyone here, I guarantee you, like every post that you do sell on, like people buy stuff, and no one's like, oh my god, I can't believe how dare you sell your thing that you actually make and is your livelihood and that you love and really put a lot of care into. Like that's ridiculous. So,
Well, they put it like that.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, so that's number one, is just like try and get rid of that blockage, because your stuff is amazing, so sell it.
And just, Tyler, we do have a couple of questions on the side.
Okay.
And so Alyssa asks, is it a good idea to mix personal and professional accounts with more personality, a little bit more personality, but is it not weird to mix pictures of a summer vacation and then some crafts trying to sell on the side? Personally, I do it because I kind of feel like if you are following me, I'm not just a giant company. I am myself and I'm a real person, and like me and my dog Rover are hanging out, and I want people to know that too. So I definitely mix that, and I don't think it's bad, but I do think it's very curated. I'll say that. Like it's not, I don't show my whole life. Like you don't see my dirty room or anything like that. It's a very curated view of what I'm thinking my customers would want to see.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, your personal aspect, the personal side of you is like half the reason people buy from you, like
Mm-hmm.
being honest. Like, so I mean, I think that's all part of the business too. I mean, depending on obviously like your specific business, but for the most part, I think like makers and creatives and things, that whole like not work part of their life is the inspiration behind their work. So I mean, I know people love seeing that side, and I think like Melanie said, curating it a little bit makes sense, but don't be afraid to show that you are actually like a real person.
Right. And then Diana has another question. I think that Let's read it. So my big struggle is I'm very private and humble and not comfortable sharing personal topics, feelings, etc. on social media. Is there a happy medium where you can be authentic and promote yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever you want to talk about, really. Like you don't have to, share your whole life. But I mean, I think if you don't talk about yourself, it's kind of selling your audience a little bit short. I mean, you don't have to necessarily talk about like your personal life, but at least talk about like the inspiration behind the products, because that is still about you, and that's still kind of like, it's not like you're just just random social commentary. It's just commentary about the things that you're making. And I think having a story behind the things you're making, it doesn't have to be super personal. It could be even like totally fantasy, like you just create a story around your products, but like the point being that there has to be something beyond just the product. So it has to be, anything that you're like willing to talk about and kind of go into is better than nothing, for sure. And you don't have to plaster your face everywhere if that's not you. But at the same time, you should be saying something, like, because at the end of the day, you got into this business and you're doing this stuff and you're creating this stuff for a reason. And so I think sharing that reason in whatever way you're comfortable will only help your brand.
Yeah. And Diana, actually, she is the brains behind Studio Stockholm, that amazing candle company. You have one behind you.
Oh, thanks. I love that candle. I tore through it in like 4 days.
Anyway, but but yeah, so it is, and to be honest, like Dan, I understand where you're coming from as far as trying to be more private, and you definitely don't have to share about your family or anything like that. But I do know specifically those types of from that candle collection. I know it's from a personal place. So I feel like, and I actually loved those stories. I'm not sure which one that one is, but I did remember liking the fact that you said it was nostalgia of sense that you grew up with, and I think that portion for me made me really actually even love the piece even more. So that's a great example as far as what you think you're not doing but you already are.
Yeah,
All right.
that's a good point too, is that like don't undersell what you're doing already, because a lot of the times you are doing and selling, sharing your story pretty well, but you just like might not think
I know.
it is something to other people. So
I know it's true though. I feel like creatives have a really hard time. Obviously, uh, yeah, it feels that it is a very personal piece of your work that you're sharing to the world, and it feels a little bit awkward, kind of promoting that as if it's like just something for someone to buy. But it's a good idea to think about that customers actually do very much know that and want to know that your personal kind of tidbits in your own, self for marketing purposes as well. All right. So Kenny has a question. Do you have any tips?
sorry, I was gonna say, I think we can leave that one to when we go into the examples. So
Okay.
go on.
Oh yes, very true. All right. So yeah, no, let's move on to examples. We are at the 125 mark. So all right, Tyler, do you want to share your screen and kind of give us on in the moment time real life examples of how we can correct our stuff?
I do, and I can, and I will. Hold on. Let's see. Share screen. Okay. All right. So yeah, so I have 3 Instagrams pulled up. One Melanie's, one is Fruit Super, and one is Rebecca J Designs. So we're gonna start with Rebecca J Designs. So I'm just gonna, yeah, kind of like Melanie said, I'm not gonna like tear it apart, but I'm gonna give you guys. Actually chose these 3 specifically because I think they all are good examples of what you can do and how you can kind of take copy that you're already writing and kind of tweak it up a little bit. So yeah, so this is a post from Rebecca. If she's here, hi Rebecca. Great photo. So this is as you can see if you read the caption, the idea, I guess, if I'm going to, for lack of better words, the big idea of this post is that she's camping. So she's camping, and she obviously, the look, I think, of her products matches what she's doing, which I think is something that happens often for you guys. Like it matches what you do because that's just the nature of this business. But so for me, when I see this, like she's kind of putting out a vibe, and if I'm a potential client, I want to, I'm like thinking like, oh yeah, that jewelry would be cool. Like it has camping vibes. Like that's totally like who I am. Like that makes sense. So this being a product post, but kind of a mix, this is like a hybrid of like what I'm doing plus what I'm selling. I think one of the things that you can do is help the reader visualize themselves doing this thing. Meaning like I said, that this is, she says, so she's sharing a personal side. I decided to keep these puppies for myself and rock them all weekend camping. So that piece alone is what you can kind of use as the idea, behind this post. So it's like you could start off with a question. Like I said, it could be like, don't you like, isn't it hard bringing jewelry camping or something like that? But something that kind of encapsulates the situation, the context, but then also helping the reader visualize kind of themselves in that moment. So like I said, I think the beginning is going to be super important. So I like that it starts off with sale. But then I would ask a question, something about like, it could be as simple as, do you love camping? Because the idea, again, not just that when you ask a question, it's not just to grab their attention, but it's also to get their head nodding, like to get them agreeing with you. And it's a subtle thing, but if you can get their head nodding early in the post, that just makes them read the rest a little bit more excitedly. So get their head nodding at the beginning. I would say something like, and you can make it specific to the product too. You could say, have you been waiting to get your hands on our hand painted collection? ? New paragraph. Well, it's on sale. It's 20% off because, and then you need a so what. So, and then she does it. So it says, we are having a 20% sale because we're making room for our new designs. So start off with a question and then give them the opportunity to act on that, right? So you're saying, do you like hand painted jewelry? If so, here we're having a 20% sale because, we're getting new designs. So now is the chance. Because another piece of that is adding urgency, adding some priority, or making it priority.
Right.
And
You want them to do it. You want them to automatically, I guess, make that happen. Like go and buy it.
Yeah, I mean, and it depends. Like, obviously, there's certain situations, but I chose this one because it's a sale, so clearly, like, it's kind of sales related.
Right.
If it's a sales post, don't be afraid to give the sale text part of the caption space to like breathe, because this is all kind of bunched together, and it's not clear. Like, this is probably the most important part, I would say, that it needs room to breathe. Because that's one of the biggest things is whenever you clump your captions together, your eyes don't have anywhere to focus on. So if you have like a most important part of your caption, specifically like if you're selling and the details of the sale, give it its space. You can space it out via emojis or just, an extra paragraph. But if you're gonna put the sale part in there, don't hide it, right? Try and make it very clear. That this is the main idea.
And by that, do you mean you would want us to like put like spaces between it essentially, or how would you be able to make that space?
I would literally just use a enter like paragraph.
Okay.
So it has its own line. So visually it's by itself, and that's what we'll naturally kind of gravitate towards.
Right.
And then also another thing is that you have to have, it's best to kind of have one call to action. So for me, this is a little bit because they're saying tomorrow is, okay, so it's saying tomorrow is the last day of our sale, 20% off, and then sign up for a mailing list for an alert. So it's just a little bit confusing as far as like what I'm supposed to do, because if I see a sale post, I'm thinking, oh, there's a sale going on.
You go automatically to the site.
Yeah, or you know what I mean? So maybe at the beginning it'd be like, tomorrow is our last day of our sale or something like that. But honestly, I actually really like this post because I think it has like a nice mix of personal plus selling. Only thing I would do is, like I said, space it out a little bit more just so the eyes know what to gravitate towards. So I can quickly be like, okay, there's a 20% off sale tomorrow. And that's it. Like, I need to know what the takeaway is. And then also being more you focused. So that's something, Melanie, that I help you with a lot is making sure that it's about the customer and helping them think about it. So rather than saying, yeah, I mean, rather than saying I decided to keep these puppies for myself and rock them all weekend camping, it's not bad that you have that, but then maybe you could follow it up. It's like, you'll love these on your next camping trip, right? Something simple like that, but just saying like, you can also do the thing. And I think that's important because there is an aspect where you should talk about yourself because it is you, but also be like, and you.
How to bounce that back to them as well as a customer.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah.
All right. I think I like I mean, I think also whenever there's a sale, I feel really weird promoting them as well. But I do know that if I put sale at the beginning of my caption or my text, people will automatically want to read the rest because they want to know what the fuck they're going to buy and what that sale is. So I definitely feel like that is very true.
I would say, I would also say be specific whenever possible. Specificity is like one of the biggest legitimacy triggers in our mind. Like when someone's very specific about something, it just becomes way more real. So rather than just saying, these puppies or hand painted collection, like what is that ring called? What is that ring? What is that earring called? Whenever you can be specific and call it out, then it's more lasting in the reader's mind.
Right. And actually it's better overall because then, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
About that. Okay. All right. You want to move on to the next, your next victim?
Fruit super, y'all. All right. So I chose this one because it's a contest giveaway. And I think y'all, business owners, you guys, I don't know if you take advantage of giveaways, but like, man, like I've seen some giveaways that go crazy and like people freaking love just like the psychology behind giveaways. Like people are addicted to this type of stuff.
I mean, I love free shit, so I get that.
Great. Like you'll do so much stuff for a free fucking notebook or something. But like anyway, so I chose this because it's a giveaway and I think it does a good job. But I think there's a couple ways that will better, like a little bit better.
I mean, giveaways are also really hard because I feel like there is so much information you have to give.
Yeah.
When you are writing about, specifically something like that they have to follow the rules and things like that.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, that's a hard way. That's a hard thing to get around. And I don't really have a specific way to get around that. But I think how you frame it and just visually will kind of make it more helpful. So I'm going to move our little head over here. I don't know what these are, by the way. What are these?
Those are plant sticks.
What is a plant stick?
So if you put like they're shaped in that way to like hold up the plant.
Oh, so it can like wrap around it as it grows.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the one thing so as I said before, spacing is going to be a huge part, and not only spacing, but just visual cues. Think about like when you're writing these types of posts, like what is the main thing that your reader cannot forget? Like you do not want to forget this point. And that point for this, I would say, are the 3 steps, right? You want them to understand what the 3 steps are for the context. So right away, I would just use emojis for the 3 steps. Like I think that's like the easiest fix, and I think a big advantage that Instagram has, and that you like creatives can actually use without it being annoying is emojis, because obviously our eyes kind of just go straight there. So I would say so I'll get to the beginning in a second, but I think for this section, for the 1, 2, 3 steps, I would separate it. So to enter, I would separate these 3 steps. I would give like a little space between each steps, meaning just another paragraph, and then I would have like an emoji for each step. So that's just a little thing, but it seriously makes a huge difference because this plain text 1, plain text 2, and plain text 3. Not only is it kind of hard for me to track with my eyes, it's just like it's a giveaway. You want it to be exciting and fun and like kind of not cartoonish, but like you want it to be like it's a giveaway. You know what I mean? So like that's an opportunity to make this a whole like blah 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 thing. So that's first what I would do. And then number 2 is, and this is it's like the main tip is that again focus it on you. So rather than saying we've spent most of this weekend making planter boxes for some of our new green friends, who cares? Like, so sorry, Fruit Super, like this is really cool, but like no one cares really about what you did last weekend. But you can reframe it and say, like, next weekend you can make green planter boxes with your new green friends. But the point being that, oh, someone's video just turned on in a weird way.
Yeah.
But the point being that you got to help your reader visualize what they can, the life they can live with your new thing. So you can use the word we. Like, I'm not saying do not use the word we. I'm not saying do not use the word I. But when it's, your reader wants to know what they can get out of it. So help them visualize instead of saying, and if you could say we spent this weekend doing something, but you always have to switch it to the other side. So you can spend a weekend making planter boxes with our brand new plant sticks. They will, give you the coolest damn plants. And also that's another thing is you got to mention like the so what, like what's the so what behind this giveaway. And then another simple thing to add, instead of saying we'll send a set of plant sticks to a random lucky winner, again, make it you. You could win you could be the lucky winner to win these plant sticks. And it seems small, it seems like a subtle thing, but it's seriously like, it's real.
Oh my God, but even you saying it out loud as far as it goes with like, that feels so much more like a sales driven post. It just like makes me, it's like cringeworthy for me. It's like, oh, I would never want to be that obvious that I'm like giving someone something or like, just like targeting them.
But then it's like, why are you doing it then? If you don't want it to be obvious, then like that's kind of like what I was talking about before. It's really kind of a mindset shift. You're not like, if you're selling, like you don't want to half sell. Like if you're gonna sell,
it's true. And I guess, and then that is confusing in itself.
And it's not like out of pocket. Like it's not it's not like, offensive for you to sell your own things. You know what I mean? So I get it, but at the same time, you got to make it easy for them to do things. That's
okay. We gotta change our mindset. We're gonna sell some shit.
For real, like sell some shit. People want to buy your shit, like more often than not. So that's for that one. So is that good?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. And I do like all of the tips that you gave for that, because I think it's very true. Like if you look at, and I think, as far as it goes with Instagram when it began and when it first started, it was really hard to, you couldn't really do as much with a caption. Like it was one paragraph. It was like, remember, it used to only be like 25 words or I don't even know, right? But it was like really, really limited. And I think now they've actually really opened that up to where you can put spaces, and emojis are super helpful. And I think all the things that you're saying are like things you can do now, and that's really great.
Yeah. And then I have one more that I did for you for your page.
Okay, go.
All right. So last is Melanie at Bronte's Designs. So this one I chose because it's a straight up product picture that I think a lot of you will inevitably need, like, something that's not really, there's nothing, there's no like, Melanie's picture's not in it. She's not like on a trip. There's not like this crazy, it's just like her products, and it's a great product shot. So
wait, before you start though, I do want to let you know that I did think about all the tips that you normally give me when I wrote this caption. So I'm a little bit embarrassed. So, but please tell us what you think.
Well, I think it's really good, and I can actually tell it's great. I mean, I forget. I had something really pressing that I was gonna say for it, but now I'm looking at it.
And maybe I shouldn't have told you.
The only thing that kind of, but okay, but I will say, like, so you immediately, one of your favorites. So that's that's like how you do it, is by saying this is, not me. It's not me and my people liked it, but you.
Right.
But to that point, I would say, I think this is a situation where the idea is there. It's just like it's worded a little bit strangely, because this might be a situation where you read it out loud, and okay, so one of your and also the punctuation, like read it out loud. Like,
I know.
So it's like marble pink cork. One of your favorites. The material is beautiful and 100% sustainable. It is made from 100% recycled cork hand pressed layer to make it signature marble. Okay, so that's good. And you talk about, this is kind of the natural thing that all of us fall into a habit of, is talking about the features, right? The features of the product. Because the features are very, very in a distant second place to the first place, which is benefits. So whenever you're talking about your products, think about what are the benefits rather than the features. So the benefits of this, what is it? Why do people buy this? Because you want fucking beautiful cork in your home to look cool. I don't know, whatever. But but the point being, like, and also it's especially, so actually a point on that too is sustainability. I think sustainability is something that should be leveraged a little bit more within this caption, because I think that is a huge point. And obviously your audience, and that's something important to them. Really dive into that. Like if you have something like that where it is a trigger point, talk about it a little bit. Show that you really you're not just passing it by. Show like you create sustainable stuff for a reason. Like, so what? So I would say this material is beautiful, 100% sustainable. So what is the thing? Like, why would you I don't know. What does that do for the world and stuff?
Yeah, it helps the world.
Yeah, whatever like that. But it helps to be, like I said, more specific and more explicit about that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I can see that. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like this specific, and I think this is where since you're doing mine and you can get the backstory behind what I was thinking, perhaps for this caption, but for me specifically, I think I always think about all the other things that this photo actually represents, because this photo is from a handbook I made about material. No one fucking knows that, but I do. So I think
that would be a cool point to mention too. Something
true. And I think, I think it's just like in my mind when I'm writing this, I always think about like, oh, that's too much information to give someone. Like I'm trying to make these really short and sweet so that, it will get, I don't know, obviously it's a product shot, right? So I'm reminding them, look, I make these products. Maybe not one. But this is where I guess I should have how could have I made this caption specifically generated towards someone wanting to purchase it?
You would help them imagine what it would look like in their home.
So I would be like,
rather than saying it's 100% cork, be like, this 100% cork is gonna look bomb on your kitchen table. Like it's gonna match your couch, side table, and all the other stuff amazingly. Like it's gonna look like, imagine when your friends come over and they look at your cork, they're like, oh my God, you have the best cork. Like that. So like just help them imagine and visualize all the good stuff that's gonna happen once they buy your stuff.
Yeah. And so Diana actually asked, good point. What about length? Is there a sweet spot on how much people are willing to read?
So I guess the rule of copy is that you only say as much as you have to. There's no sweet spot, I would say, as far as like, I think this is kind of a sweet spot, to be honest, like this length. But again, it goes back to what's the big idea that you're trying to say, and say whatever you have to say in as few words as possible. Some posts, obviously, you're telling more of a story, and don't be afraid to tell the story. Like don't leave out certain elements because you think it's going on too far, but have a purpose for the story and make sure that it's like, it's for a reason, right? So, really it's a crappy answer, but it really depends. And it's really, the length is when the message is passed on, when it's done. So, but I honestly, if like, this is a nice length for me, as far as this being the content about it. And then, there could be like another line where it's selling. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think that was super helpful. And like we've mentioned before, because there was another product image that was very similar to this that Tyler helps me on. And when I was writing it, he kept being like, who are you writing to? And I was like, I don't know, the people that follow me. But it made me, which is why I even changed in this specific caption that you chose. It's one of your favorites, because I was going to say it was one of my favorites, and then I rewrote it because I knew that you would have said.
Yeah, and like, so instead of saying one of your favorites, which for me doesn't totally make sense, because I'm like, this is my favorite. Like, it would be, I would say like people like the idea of being like, people really like this stuff. Like, so instead of saying one of your favorites, like, this is one of the designs that everyone loves, or something like that, because
Right.
people,
Yeah. Well, it's a bestseller. And I think that was like what I kept thinking in my head. You telling me these things in person, and it's making me think about why I wrote it that way. And yeah, I think for me personally, I think I need to remember being specific is actually better, because you reading it out loud, it's like, oh yeah, that does make sense. Like, I shouldn't be.
yeah, so read it out loud and be specific. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think the number one point that this made me think about, which I probably should have said earlier, is help your reader or your potential buyer visualize and like imagine what life is like once they own your thing. Yeah. Like the plant sticks, your plants are going to grow in these crazy patterns, and it's going to be fun, and your plants are going to look all cool and stuff. And then Rebecca's is like, you're going to be camping and you're going to have jewelry on. Like, I'm kind of joking, but like, not really. Like, that's what you have to kind of do, is really visualize what reality would be like with your new stuff that you just bought from me. So
yeah, that's very true.
All right, I'm gonna stop. Can I stop the share?
Yeah, stop the share. Yeah. Well, thank you for obviously helping us point out a bunch of different stuff on how caption writing could become better. I think that a lot of what you had to say made a lot of sense, and a lot of it feels like it's more our own mental blockage.
I had so someone asked a question. So Sam Slater, he asked it privately. Sam, is it okay if I ask it, present to the group? It's not like a really personal question, but he said basically, like, he's like, the idea of adding a question to every post can be like why would I add a question to every single post? I agree. And that's the thing, is like, you don't want to start every single post off with a question, because that would be obnoxious. But number one, not as obnoxious as you might think. But also, it's, with anything, with any of these posts, like, you have to have a cadence and kind of some pacing. Like, you don't have 6 product posts in a row, just like you wouldn't have 6 question posts in a row. So it's a matter of kind of feeling it out, and just being able to mix your posts up, really. And it's not, I wouldn't say that like it's a check mark to use a question. It's more so that is a way to get your reader to be more active. And that's really the overarching idea, is do things to get your reader active in that mini situation. So this question is just a good way to do it. So
yeah,
there you go, Sam. Can you give some first sentence examples that are not questions? So you, I think visual, like what I said before about helping them imagine what your new product would look like in your home. So it could be like, the first thing, like if I'm selling a freaking speaker, and be like, you could say something to make it like a real situation in their life. So you could say like, your new speaker is going to bump hard in your living room, or something like that.
Well, specifically, so Melissa, she runs a restaurant, so.
Okay. So yeah, so if it's a restaurant, it's like, you say, you're gonna love our new steaks or something like that. But something to like put the perspective on them, and about something that they will benefit from, something that they are looking forward to, rather than saying like, we just came up with a new menu item and it's really exciting. Just say, you're gonna love what we just came out with. And so then it's like, oh my God, what is it? Right? So something that gets them to read. That's kind of the overall thing for copywriting. Your goal is just to get them to read line. You can't sell everything right away. You just have to get them down and keep reading. So create some suspension.
Suspense.
Suspense. Create some suspense. And yeah, just help them kind of visualize what could be.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I do agree. I think there is, for all of us, there is more of an emphasis on a you being the person reading it rather than it being about the actual thing, and to change that mindset. That makes sense. All right. So the only thing that I wanted to ask, and how could we Melissa asked the second question, how can we translate this to Instagram stories?
You would just use that first sentence. So however you can visual, like, so okay, it's like if you have a post, like I assume for a story, you're gonna want to write like one line or something. That one line, make sure it has the word you in it, and then just what is the main benefit or thing that that person is going to get from it. You'll love our thing. You're going to love coming to our restaurant. You're going to whatever. What is the one thing that you, the person reading it, could want to take away from it? Like what can they look forward to?
Yeah. And to be honest, I do feel like posts have a very specific feeling for your social media compared to stories. I feel like stories are a lot more casual. You can kind of mess up a little bit more, and you can obviously, because it's such short videos or short pictures or whatever you're using, you can have more of that and create that story based on like the layering of what you're posting. So, if it is, as far as it goes with like a story, you can just emphasize more on that. And then personally, how at least I use my own Instagram, and then my actual posts will just either have just like a small caption of that, and then but it'll be elaborated more on a story, and especially if they're posted on the same day. That way you can really encapsulate them to be on your Instagram even more, because you're going to be like, look, this is what I did, and then see more of it in my stories, and they're just going to go back and forth as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think the good way to use the stories is like the story is like the behind the scenes almost.
Yeah, definitely.
Like post, and it's like here's the so.
Very true. Well, I did want to kind of go into really quickly, because I know we're running out of time. I mean, personally, I was able, with the idea of writing you in mind, I was able to create that for an ad. Do you have any, any tips or any, experience with writing ads specifically, or how long we should have them on, going? Because I'm really bad about ads in the sense that I don't use them very often, but you did tell me once about how to make the algorithm work with you. You have to have it going for a certain amount of time.
Well, yeah. So I guess that's kind of like two different things: is running ads and then writing ads.
Right.
Running ads, all I know, so I don't know too much about running ads, but what I told you and what I think is the general knowledge is that you have to let the algorithms do their thing, meaning that you have to have it running for enough time for the algorithm to learn who your audience is. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that running ads is almost never a short-term solution. Like if you're thinking about running ads for your business, then it has to be kind of a longer-term strategy. You're going to have to be willing to, invest before you see the results. Like it could take a couple of weeks for the results to come in and stuff like that. But again, I don't know, like running ads isn't my world really. But as far as writing the ads, it has to, the easy answer is that take all the stuff that I just told you, because that stuff applies to all copy and it applies to ads just as much as it applies to posts. But with ads, the thing that you want to do very, very quickly is, of course, grab their attention. I would say this whole using a question at the beginning is perfect for ads. Like that's like an ad thing to do. Alternatively, a good way is start off the first line with attention to people that I'm targeting. So it could be like attention homeowners or attention cool studio workers or whatever. Just right away in your ad, you want the first thing. Don't try to be too clever or like, blah, blah, blah. Just say who you're talking to. And then they'll have your attention. So, but beyond that, it's really about emphasizing. So, okay. So I'll try and get this done really quickly. But so whenever you're like offering a product or something, you're solving a problem. Like you're not just offering a product, you're actually solving a problem. Like even whatever, I keep using the vase example, but the problem you're solving is that you don't have any beautiful vases in your house. What the hell? So that's the problem you're solving, and you have to emphasize the problem that you're solving right away, because that is going to make solving it a priority, right? So if I say like, hey, you're a homeowner, do you have any cool vases that are, whatever? Well, I have the vases that will whatever. So it's literally just introducing a problem, introducing yourself as a way to solve that problem, and then giving them an opportunity to solve it, which is the link or the call to action.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, no, that all makes sense. And it's so vague because of course we all have different things that we make, but I definitely, I get it and I understand, because it seems like from what you've explained to us today, it's very much like get their attention, show them what you have, and then from there they can kind of take that information and go with it.
Because everyone here, everyone watching, everything that you guys are doing, you're solving a pain point. Like there's a pain point that you are offering a solution to, right? And there's a problem that you're solving. So you have to just make sure that before you introduce your product and stuff like that, you have to emphasize the problem. For example, if there's like a rugged outdoor jewelry line, the problem that, they don't have this never existed in specific situations that wasn't cool. So that's why we made this. So now you will never have to worry about that again. Right. So just kind of remember that,
That makes sense. Okay. Well, does anyone have any other last minute questions you'd like to ask Tyler? We can go on for a little bit longer, but essentially we're super excited and grateful that you were able to come out and talk to us about caption and writing and sales, all things that as personally are really hard to kind of grasp and understand. So I think it makes a lot of sense for us to kind of go down that route of as far as it goes. And I was, oh good, yay. I'm so glad everyone has found it to be helpful. Oh, you're so welcome. Yay. And I think, Tyler is definitely, I know that you said that you'd be open to if people had any questions, to email him.
Yeah, I won't write your copy, but I do some consulting. So I guess just hit me up if you have questions. I can just if it's just like a question you're interested, I can answer a question. No big deal. So just feel free to shoot me an email, anyone, or go to my website. But my email, I don't know if you want to put it in the chat, but it's just ty@tylerjkoenig.com.
Okay, I'll write it. ty@tylerj. I think I wrote that right. Did I write that right?
Yep. And then my Instagram too, of course. Just slide into my DMs if you would like.
And Tyler does have a webinar about sales copy that is coming up. When is that going to happen?
It happens every day at 1 p.m. PST. Just go to tylerjkoenig.com/webinar. It's really good.
Oh, so it's already like around?
It's around. It's available.
Okay. Cool. It's already available. Well, perfect then. That's great. And I do personally love Tyler's newsletters. I read them in the mornings because it's very, very candid and really casual, which I enjoy. And it's a really great way of, I guess, starting the day and thinking about sales, which, to be honest, no one really particularly wants to do, but you make it really nice to think of it as a casual sense. So I really enjoy your newsletters that way. All right. Well, you can find Tyler, like you said, on his website, tylerjkoenig.com, and myself, Melanie Bronte. Melanie Bronte's Designs is my Instagram. And of course, join Design. And don't forget, so next week we have another Join Talk that is happening with Christine Track from Abacus Row. And she's going to help us kind of talk about how we can take our our photographs at home and how we can take photographs and style them from, instead of using photographer. Because of course, right now with everything that's happening with COVID, it's a lot harder to obviously do that. And I'm hoping that everyone can use these notes and all the things that Tyler was able to tell us for the holidays so that you can write really awesome copy and get people to buy your stuff so that we can all be as successful as possible. Exactly. All right. Thank you guys again so much. And we're so happy that you guys could all join us. And I will post this hopefully in the next week or so. We have a YouTube now, which I'm really excited about. And if not, you can find it on the blog. All right. Thank you so much, Tyler. And hopefully we'll see you guys again. Bye, everyone.